Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kingdom Solutionaries. We're so glad that you're here today, and we're so excited about your continued support. I'm Clarissa Kenty, the co-host, and the host is...
James Harris.
Look at you.
I thought I'd surprise you.
Yeah. I mean, James Harris. I mean, y'all dapper. Looks like you got a little extra starch in the shirt today.
No. I ironed it myself. I know we do have an iron in our house. We use it occasionally. My wife never uses it, but every once in a while I like a little crease to stuff. Okay. You know, look like you didn't just get out of bed with it on.
So what you're telling me is when you
I'm
take
not
your
telling
shirt
you
off,
anything. I hang it up. I hang it up. I do send them to the cleaners initially, and then they get at least two wearings before they go back.
Yeah, see, that's why I was headed. Because I know when you take that shirt off, you can just sit it over there on the chair,
Ain't that
and
stiff?
it's just waiting for you to come back.
That's funny. I have seen shirts and pants like that growing up in the South that they could stand on their own.
I'm telling you. And the pants, the crease used to be so hard in the pants. Yeah. Oh, you can just sit in the corner and just jump into them, and they're just ready.
That's right. Thank God we don't do that anymore. Feeling
on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, 10 being the best.
Yes,
I'm probably somewhere hanging out in the middle, about a 5. I don't know. As you well know, we've opened the store. It's been open just a little under 60 days now, and we're learning what we didn't know. And we're experiencing some of the things that one would expect in some sense with a new business. But the other thing that we're is looking at and helping people and ours mindsets adjust to the fact that we're not conventional and grocery store. And that means a lot. And it's hard to explain because generally people will judge you generally by price and item, okay? And they equate that to quality, of course, and value. And while we esteem one of our priorities is quality at the top of the 5, what we call the 5 priorities, quality is at the top. And being able to afford the best price to be able to have a retail that maybe can respond to the big boys, we can't do that. And so at least not at a level of our competitors or other people in the grocery business does, because we're a food desert. We're in a food desert. And food deserts or describes a 3 to 5 mile radius where there's no fresh, nutritious food. So let me say it this way. If a conventional grocery store would have worked in the Fairfield community, for instance, it would have been there 9 years before we came, because that's how long they've been without a store. So anyway, yeah, that's we're adjusting to that in every shape, form, or fashion in our own minds and operations, but also really being able to communicate that to the customer that shop us and why they should shop us and why is it so important. That's continues to be another issue.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm thinking about this, James, when you think about in most communities, in the underserved communities and the food deserts, they are saturated with robust convenience stores. I'm trying to say that without saying the names.
Yes.
They're not gas stations, guys, but you know what I mean. They're in like a little warehouse-like, you know, and there's 2 different kinds.
Yeah.
So what you have to see is that in those stores that are in those areas, we're thinking, okay, it's a little bit cheaper, right? But it's really not, because you have to look at the size and the ounces that you're receiving based on the cost that you're paying. And so when you're looking at that, you're actually getting less for more. What do I mean? is that you're getting less quantity, but you're paying more for it. And so when you're looking at that, it makes you go and buy more. And when you look at getting 32 ounces of something, but you keep getting 5 and 6 ounces and paying lots of money, by the time you get the 32 ounces, you would have quadrupled the amount that you would have paid by going to some place like Carver Jones.
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of think big, and we have to think long term. And so I love the fact that you're going in and you are breaking fallow ground. You're going in and you're saying, hey, I care about the community. I want to come in and see what I can do to help and to assist. And so we have to see what we can do to say, hey, Carver Jones is doing what they need to do to bring fresh produce, to bring fresh goods to our community. Now it's time for us to support. It's not time for us to complain. It's not time for us to find everything that we can put our hands to be negative, because guess what? Before Carver Jones, there was nothing for 10 years in the Fairfield community. And so now we're here, and I'm so excited because I'm seeing people come in, James. I'm seeing people excited about being in the store. I've heard people say, man, I mean, that store looks really good. It's nice, it's clean. And I'm like, yeah, and those bathrooms are robust. I mean, when you go in, I'm like, okay, I can just sit down and be comfortable, read a little bit, not that I want to.
Hopefully don't stay too long, but yeah.
But it's nice. And so I enjoy the top of the line produce, the top of the line experience, and the atmosphere. Because this is what normally happens in underserved communities and in food deserts. There's a store that they will put there, they'll throw it up, and it's not nice. The atmosphere's trash, and the food is poor quality. Now, I'm saying it because that's what it is.
You said it.
And so, but then, unfortunately, the community is okay with it because that's what the community has been used to getting. And so now we have something that's top of the line. It's amazing. And I know that some more things are coming down the pipeline. And so I like you have kind of this thing that's in there like a pick 6 or something like that?
Pick 5. Uh-huh.
Pick 5. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I threw an extra one in there.
It's 5. It's 5. Now you can get 6, but
Right.
you ain't going to get 6 for 5.
But you know what, James? In some stores that I've been in where they have a pick 5 option, the pick 5 is not the best. I mean, it's like when you look at the chicken nuggets, it's, you're wondering what exactly is in there.
What did they make that with?
Yeah, what's going on in there?
A lot of fillers in there.
Lots of fillers, lots of preservatives that are there that can appear to be more harmful than good. And so, I'm excited. I'm totally excited. And I believe that sometimes when you go into a food desert, it not only, you have to go in and showcase what you have, but you also have to educate,
And that's a big component, is the education part of it. One of the things that has been very difficult for us, and I've just had some opportunity to visit with my friend that's doing a lot of work for us to help us get the message out. As we kind of talked about this again, that is the thing that really makes you different. Mm-hmm. You're never going to be able to do that with price and item, okay? Right. Now, also today I had a very long conversation with my produce director that oversees the produce and the markets and things we want to do, and he and I have worked together for a long time, several decades, as a matter of fact. And one of the things I said to him, his name is Lou Melapante, and he's an Italian, as you can imagine.
Yes.
And Louis is just a great, great merchandiser and produce individual. And I said, Lou, I'm in this for the long haul. Mm-hmm. Because what happens when you hit this wall with sales and traffic and things like that, you hit the wall of really high shrink. And shrink is those things that you throw away or you lost in some kind of fashion through various ways, theft and so on and so forth. And you begin to cut back. You begin to try to save the purse as much as you can. And that is not unwise. It's wise. And yet at the same time, you have if you decide what you're going to lead with, and quality is that lead, then you stay with it. You know you're not going to eliminate the shrink, but you begin to manage it better, and you begin to merchandise to affect the shrink. What I don't want to do is what other retailers have done that have gone in markets like this, is that they began to cut down or cut back on the variety, and they began to cut down, believe it or not, there's ways you can do that, to cut down also on the quality. And quality is one of our number one priorities.
Right.
And so I said, it's going to cost us. And but I'm willing to pay that price until people realize the value that we have in them, or we're placing in them and on them, with staying consistent in that. The cleanliness, as you talked about, the restrooms and place of contact, the floors, even the entryway when you walk in, the way the store is designed. The buggies, the sanitizing of the buggies.
Sanitized buggies.
Yes,
oh
sanitized
my goodness.
buggy.
After every use.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about, like, if you, and I like you, James, but after you use your buggy, I want mine sanitized.
You want your own, you want yours clean.
Right.
Exactly. And people have been doing that in other big department stores or grocery stores through sanitation, napkins and things like that. And that produces its own problem, but within itself, it's expensive. It's also one of those things that it leaves trash throughout the store.
Yeah.
And you're only touching less than 5% of that buggy, which
Yes.
most people just wipe down the handle.
Right.
But if you had a sick child or other things sitting in the seat of that buggy, those things don't get touched.
Or people coughing.
Or people
You know, 'cause
coughing, those
coughing, I mean,
germs,
I've seen a lot of
carries. Yeah,
things.
exactly. and we're about to go into the cold and flu season.
Yeah.
And so all those things affect people's health, okay? So sanitizing a buggy, which is a small thing for us, and most people probably don't even recognize it, because sometimes you have to call these things out.
Right.
People don't understand what's being done and why you don't put your buggy back up. Sometimes people think they're doing us a service and helping us, and we appreciate it, about bringing the buggy back in what the buggies were.
Right.
We said, no. We have to take it through the sanitizing side so that it can be sanitized. Then it goes back into use
You
again.
know what, James? Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. Because, we're thinking, well, what's the big deal about some fancy, sanitation machine that's sanitizing buggies? Long term again.
Yeah.
We're looking at, in the underserved communities, there's a lack of medical assistance. There's a lack of things that are there to help people in the underserved community remain healthy.
Absolutely.
So what can we do about that? Where there's preventative measures.
Absolutely.
Your Carver Jones is thinking about everything.
Yeah, and we think about the people. And when
You
you
have
lead,
to.
when you lead with the people, it makes it easier,
Yeah.
or at least it changes the thought process about what you do and what you don't do.
Right.
And if you really care about people, it can't be just in word, it's got to be in deed. In other words, we have to show ways that we really value the person and their experience in the store, not just them buying from us. That's we want to earn that business. The thing I want to say if I was talking to the people of Fairfield and around Birmingham and other areas, there's a reason why retailers don't go into these communities.
Right.
And they're well documented. There's a large reasons for doing that. But one of the things that the retailer that does go, like a Carver Jones or others that would go into these communities, is that there's a cost to it.
Yeah.
And it's very high and very expensive. And so you need to embrace that on the front end, because if you don't, when you get into it and if you just discover it during the process, you're going to be very dismayed. I had one of those conversations with my wife, because I came home, looked at sales the week before, and I go, my God, what was I thinking? When I got into this,
Right.
and which is it's not, that's not a bad thing to ask, but you have to go back and remember what was on God's heart that
That's
called
right.
you into
That's
this
right.
place in the first thing, for the first point. And so for me, we've said this on some broadcasts, this was not for me a career opportunity. It's a calling. Callings are different than careers. A career could be your calling, and a calling could be, turned into a career. But for me, callings are something that has a greater a much wider purpose than just yourself. It generally always points to others. Right. And so he reminded me of this one thing years ago. It was a years ago place, and it wasn't really in calling out Fairfield. It was calling out to a people that I saw that said Jesus very hard. He talked about the children, and don't keep them away. In other words, I'm paraphrasing it. When the Pharisees and his own disciples were trying to shoo him out of the way because they were taking up his time, and there are other, quote, more important people to talk to than these children, he spoke up for them. Yeah. And he said, don't do that. Don't keep them from coming to me. Let them come. Right. Because it's their kind of faith that the Father desires. I desire. It's a childlike faith. And they are our future. And so I thought, okay, I'm remembering the scenario in my prayer time years and years and years ago. I didn't have Fairfield on my mind, particularly as a city, but it does represent the people in so many places are like those in Fairfield. Yeah. And I said, with tears, I said, God, it looks like, it appears nobody wants them. And I said, if nobody does, I want them. Yes. And so he reminded me, you asked for this. That's right. You asked for these people.
It's James, and I just want to encourage you. I always give you a hard time.
That's okay.
But today, for a very small moment, I want to encourage you and be nice.
I know. We better mark that point on the calendar.
Mark it.
12 point. 2 minutes.
But, I want to encourage you because this truly is a road less traveled, which means that when you took that road, you knew that this was not paved. You knew that there would be potholes in this road.
Or no road at all.
No road at all, right? Dirt road. And you knew that lights would not be on this road.
That's true.
Which means it's dark. And so everywhere that you traveled, God says that we are the light in this earth. We are carrying light because we are like Christ. Mm-hmm. So wherever you go, where darkness is, it cannot stay. That's because right. You carry the light of Christ inside of you. Right. So it is dark. It is less traveled. You are saying yes to where so many stores and companies said no. But what you're doing is, it's more than just groceries.
Yes.
It's more than just produce. What it is you're bringing in economic development and strength into Jefferson County and Fairfield.
Yes.
You are providing jobs to young people who may not have an opportunity to work. You're bringing jobs into Fairfield where these young people are not only working, but they're coming and being empowered with leadership training. Having an opportunity to be elevated, and they too may be able to buy into the franchise of Carver Jones Market.
Absolutely.
We're looking at farmers who are in the state of Alabama who are struggling and not being able to push their produce somewhere. They can push it to Carver Jones Market. Mm-hmm. So now you're able to put money back into their pockets. It's bigger than just a grocery store.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we have to look at. That's what I feel in my spirit. That's why I'm so excited about Carver Jones Market and what Carver Jones is doing for the community. Not only are they doing this for Fairfield, but they will be doing this in other areas that we deem as being underserved. What does underserved mean?
Yeah.
It means that it's not being served properly. It means that you are a food desert. It means that you have been forgotten about and you don't have the things that you need. When the pandemic hit, James,
God,
I'm on a roll here. Now just bear with
so
me.
I got you. Go ahead. Preacher girl.
I'm still riding shotgun, but just ride with me. So, but when the pandemic hit, and you start seeing all of these spots and these places where you can go over here and get tested for the pandemic, or you can go over here and get shots. Every location in Jefferson County was about 30 miles away from underserved communities.
Oh, man.
You had to drive. If you lived in Fairfield, you had to drive all the way to 280. And those of you who are tuning in and you're not familiar with Birmingham, that's about 20 to 30 miles away to go get tested.
Yeah.
And then when you go, there's miles and miles of traffic that you can't get to, and some people will turn around and leave. So these hubs and these sites were not set in these areas. That's what underserved means. It means that people that have to ride in Birmingham transportation. Well, you can't afford to jump in an Uber to take you over to 280 to get tested for COVID. You can't. That's what underserved means. And so after a series of hundreds of people dying and can't get the proper medical treatment that they need, now all of a sudden, hindsight, a second thought, now you're throwing up a site to get people tested in these areas. That is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. That's what underserved means. And we have to speak for these communities that are underserved. And we have to say, look, no more. Mm-hmm. And so this is not the time to complain about someone saying yes to the call, saying, yes, I'm here. I'm going to be here for you. And to be honest with you, some of those name brand merchandise and products that's in Carver Jones, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But guess what? It's not as expensive as it should be. I know for a fact, just by the little bit that I know about wholesale and retail, I know, James, that you're taking a hit by keeping these prices as low as you are so that it can be affordable for the people in this community.
Yeah.
And that's what people are not seeing.
Well, another thing is there are so many people that do not understand the economics of the grocery business. Grocery is a very small margin. We're talking about 5% or less at the end of the day, okay? So that's 5 cents on every dollar that you get to keep, not just handle, keep, okay? And so 95% of everything that goes through there is charged to cost of goods, overhead, labor, building and utilities, all those kinds of things. And so you get a chance to keep 5 cents out of every dollar if you do well. Right. When you have higher shrink, that number shrinks, okay? So you're talking about the big boys having the volume to be able to drive that. So if you got a Walmart that's doing $1 million a week, and there's many of them that do, then you're talking about 5% of that $1 million. That's a whole different animal. Right. The food desert store neither has the volume, but yet is measured on the same level of percentages in terms of profit. So it is not, for those of you that think that a grocer is making a lot of money off of you, think again. Right. That is not the case. Right. They have to have the volume to be able to drive that number. Mm-hmm. And so you and I talked about this off camera a few weeks ago, and the subject matter was this: if Jesus came, would you recognize his coming? If he's visited you, would you recognize his visitation? And we have tremendous history in Old Testament and New Testament where God showed up in ways people least expected. I was reviewing the documentary, which we're going to see tomorrow night. It premieres, a documentary on the grocery store and my life and this journey, which has taken so many years. And the documentary has taken a couple of years to do. And I got a chance to see a preview because I told the directors, let me get all my emotional stuff out of the way. Right. So and I don't want to be, I don't know, but so. I've already had.
I'm bringing tissue.
You will be in the dark. I will make sure you're in the dark. I'll make sure we set you in a place away from my wife,
Yes. I can't
So
wait.
you can.
I'm just gonna kind of
you
hand a
can
little
stop-
tissue like this.
You
I'm
can
like,
stop
here
agitating
you
and
go,
aggravating.
James.
You
I
know.
was gonna slide it to you.
Shame on you. I'll bring my own. I'll bring my own. But anyway, getting back to the subject matter.
Right.
If there was a visitation of the Lord, would you recognize his visitation?
Yeah.
The Bible says that his hour of visitation. And I believe we're in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's manifesting itself in multiple ways right now.
Yeah.
Could it be because of the prayers of so many asking for a grocery store in Fairfield that the Lord has released that? Could this be? Could it be? I'm not trying to, some people say, you're getting religious on me.
Right.
Okay. That's your category for it.
Mm-hmm.
But all along the way, if you look at God's people, Israel, his visitation always came in ways that people needed it most.
Right.
Whether it's deliverance from an army that was much mightier than they, or bringing about food for people that have spent 400 years in captivity, falling from heaven, or if it was Jesus when he stepped out of into the earth as the Savior of the world. And many religious people missed his visitation. In fact, it was his people that nailed him to the cross, not other people, his people.
Yeah.
Okay? They didn't recognize him when he came. People have prayed for this. Could it be that the Lord is allowing the opportunity for the people of Fairfield to do something that will send ripples across the country because this problem is so big? What if you could do something, not with what you don't have, but what you do have, to be able to change not only your life, but the life of many others? Would you do it? Because it's going to cost you something. You're not going to be able to afford it in the sense of, oh, I can buy this. I've heard this. I tell how people come in and they're observers, spectators. And there's a lot of people in the kingdom that are just spectators.
Right.
They're not participating in what God is doing. They're sitting on the sidelines with their hands folded, and they're watching as if it's entertainment. And they're missing the opportunity to be part of something that's great. This has nothing to do with me other than God uses vessels. He always has. The frailty of man, he's always spoken through man. And when I say man, I'm not talking about, just the male gender.
Right.
I'm talking about the human race. He's always spoken through man. Whether you are a prejudiced person like Jonah that didn't want to go to Nineveh, or if you were Saul that God converted into a Paul that changed the face of the Gentile nation. I'm going to quit because we just about wound down, but I got one more point.
Okay.
The one thing that people continually devalue themselves in is their effect of lives around them. And they diminished it to the point to say that I cannot make a difference. I told my group the other night, was on the interstate, and there was a 50 or more car backup on this one lane. Has nothing to do with gender. This is just the reality, okay, before I get there, because you know what I'm probably going to say. Cross your arms.
Here. Let me get ready.
So I'm in the other lane, and I'm going on down the road, finally weaved and bobbed and weaved and got around. And here's this little old lady in this wheel, behind this wheel. She's not on cell phone, so we can't give her that, okay? But she's on the interstate. You're in the fast lane. You're in the wrong lane. The first off, okay? And you're driving way under the speed limit. People behind you are agitated, but because you are unaware of what's going on around you, you're oblivious of what you just created behind you.
Right.
We need to understand that our lives affect others' lives.
It does.
And those 50 people back there behind her that wanted her to get the heck out of the way get in the place she needs to be so the traffic can flow.
Yeah.
It is the same thing for us. We diminish the value that we can have because we forget that someone is watching us.
Wow.
Someone is following us.
Mm-hmm.
And to the degree that we play our part, get in the right lane, run the right speed,
Right.
or get the heck off the interstate.
That's right.
Because that is not for your driving style.
That's right. That's right. Well said. Well said.
It could have been a little old man. It just happened to be a lady.
It probably
and to
was,
be true
but
to the story, I have to tell the story
I think
as
it was.
was.
Probably a little old man, but it just the story probably has a better effect.
Well, I tell you what.
You say a little
You can
woman.
prove the point by telling the story your way, using your character.
That's right.
As you want to.
Yes, mine
it
will
won't
be
diminish
more
it.
effective, I think.
Ain't gonna change nothing,
Right.
but that's okay if you want to call it that. That's fine.
I love it. I'm so glad. We really didn't. We usually kind of discuss a little bit about what we're going to talk about, but God just really led this today just to share more information, just backstories for people who may just have these questions in their minds. And I'm so excited because one of the things I really want people to know is not to shy away from brands that you're not familiar with.
That's right.
And so,
They're guaranteed.
yeah.
If you
Oh,
don't
my
like
goodness.
them, you just get your money back.
Just get your money back.
No-
And so,
no-
I mean,
no risk.
it's amazing. And so a lot of brands that we don't know are manufactured by brands we do know.
Absolutely.
It's just like when you go to, you don't wear makeup, James. But,
No. I may need to, but I don't. No.
But you can go and get this product. I mean, expensive, like $70, $80, $100 for a bottle. But then if you look, the same manufacturer may be for a brand at CVS, same manufacturer. And so a lot of times it's marketing when people are just bent on certain name brands. And so there's some amazing brands in Carver Market. As soon as you come into that grocery store, take a right, and you can see a whole plethora of different items by the store brand that is great. And I think we probably have a couple of surprises that's going to take place in November and December.
Man, we got some big stuff
Yeah,
planned.
so
We got
I'm
some
really
major
excited
stuff
about that,
planned,
guys. So
yeah.
just really stay tuned. And be sure to share this podcast. We want you to share this podcast. Let's get the word out about Carver Jones and dealing with that facts sheet, the frequently asked questions about Carver Jones. That's probably be the name of this podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And so
That's
just
great.
sharing information more about what Carver Jones is all about. And you know what? Carver Jones is here for the long haul.
That's
Want
right.
you to know that.
Yes.
And with your help and with your support, we can continue to provide quality service, quality atmosphere, and quality produce and products. Really looking forward to that. So
Thank you.
great show today, James.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
it
Thank
was
you. I
excellent.
enjoyed it as usual.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
gave you
enjoyed it.
another compliment. Man, we're batting 100 here.
Well,
I better
wouldn't
stop
go
because I
that
don't have
far,
any
but
more.
that's
I don't have anything
know.
else left for you today.
I ain't going there, as they say. I ain't going there because I don't want to taint that in any way, shape,
Yeah,
form.
let's-
I don't want any retractions
Right.
going on.
Let's just bask in this while we can. All right.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us here with Kingdom Solutionaries podcast with James and Clarissa. We love doing this. We love bringing it to you every single week. Again, be sure to share and follow. If this is your first time here on the channel, hit subscribe and hit that notification button so every time the podcast drops, you will get that notification in your text or in your email or however you get it. But again, we thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thank you.